1, 2, 3, 4, 5 $1 bills.
Okay.
That's it. That's the greatest illusion created by man. Because these pieces of paper are 75% linen, 25% cotton, little green ink, little black ink. It's not really worth anything, but we live and die for this stuff. These 5 $1 bills have the exact true value as 5 $100 bills. It's the same. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
These $100 bills have no more or less true value than these $1 bills. What I'm saying is it's all an illusion. Don't be a slave.
Spring semester started on January 31st, 2013, and that meant a couple things were changing. I made the dean's list because of my GPA, so my parents weren't worried about me flunking out of college anymore, and it also meant pledging season had started. I had a couple of friends pledging for the Palmer Society, a couple of floor mates in Stauffer pledging for the Franklin Society, and one good friend pledging for the Saxon Society. So I was aware of things like pledging events, pledge attire, and the lack of sleep that most pledges got. But I wasn't a part of it that year. It was just something that was going on around me. I was also taking more French and Spanish classes, a kinesiology class, a 400 level film class, and a class called Whittier Scholars so I could design my own major. Originally, I wanted to graduate with 3 majors, film, Spanish, and French, but I was told that it would have been too much to complete in 4 years. I could have been a film and Spanish major with a French minor, since I already had AP Spanish applied toward that major, but for some reason, I didn't. I'm not sure why I didn't, but it would have been significantly easier if I had. But because for some reason I was pursuing a French major and a Spanish minor, I had to go to the study abroad fair on February 5th. I got a number of pamphlets for different programs, but that fair set plans in motion that I don't totally understand. What I mean by that is, I'm just not sure why I made the choices I did. I can't remember what my thought process was, because Paris had been one of my least favorite cities on the Carpe Diem trip, and yet I started a plan to study abroad in Paris in order to complete a French major. I tried to figure out what my reasons could have been, and maybe I did it to be closer to Selena, but her and I weren't doing well relationship-wise by then, and Paris was still a ways away from London, so I'm just not sure what motivated my decision to do this. Also around that time, Erin Hodges took me to lunch at California Grill to talk about ideas for a finished video for CAPC Inc., after I'd shot the footage I talked about in Season 3, Episode 7. It was my first time having a work lunch like that, and I did my best to be professional. How professional? I put a napkin on my lap professional. It felt odd being at a restaurant with someone I'd worked for, but I suppose this was how people did business as adults, so I was glad to have the experience, and I felt like Erin was trying to make up for the fact that I'd worked for free by buying me food. The main lesson I learned from these experiences is that some of the most rewarding things in life take a long time and a lot of hard work to achieve. It took almost a full year to finish up my work with CAPC Inc., it took 2 years to be able to study abroad, and it took 4 years to get my self-designed major approved so I could graduate with a degree in film production and business. But each of those things was a long-term goal to improve my future, and I'm glad I did them. Fun fact, a comedian and magician named Derek Hughes performed at Whittier College on February 7th, and I was happy to attend because I'd always loved magic when I was a little kid.
I'm not supposed to be here. When I was 10, I had open heart surgery, and I died on the operating table. And then they brought me back. And I have a memory of that experience. I was above the situation. I was looking down, and there was no fear. It was just laughter. I remember flying past, it was at the University of Minnesota Heart Hospital where this went down, and there was a window, an observation window of students, cardiovascular or cardiology students, taking notes. And I remember flying right past that observation window, right where they were, and I made it.
Practicing magic tricks when I was young was how I ended up at a magic convention in Monterey, California, which is where I met Andrew Goldenhersh, the only magician that the Academy of Magical Arts has ever nominated for both Close-Up Magician of the Year and Parlor Magician of the Year for 12 consecutive years. And more importantly, that same convention was also where I met a magician named Sabretooth, who ended up a mentor to me, just as magician Ted Koss had been a mentor to him. Sabretooth was a sober indigenous magician who, due to the boarding school systems, was very aware of what it felt like to be separated from your culture and what it takes to reconnect. He had Ojibwe heritage, and I had Mohican ancestors on my mom's side, and both of those are Algonquin peoples, so we seemed to connect over that a little bit. On top of the fact that my dad was also a sober man who'd also been disconnected from his tribe long before his birth.
I will be talking about things that we come into contact with every day. The four elements, the four races of the world, four seasons, and the four directions. Water. Human beings are 70% water. The earth is covered 70% with water. The average human being uses 70 gallons of water every day. We are born in the mother's womb in water. You know, when you look into the eyes of a baby, and you make a face at it, you make it laugh, you say little things, that baby does not know and does not care whether you are Asian, African, Native. It doesn't care. It does not know racism. We are taught these things. And when I was taught these things, well, let's just say that the magic, well, at this point in my life, there really wasn't much magic. No, once these negative emotions came into my life, there was nothing but darkness. We will start off with the red sand. The red sand will represent the native people. The element it represents is fire. The season is spring. And next we have yellow. We will let the yellow sand represent the Asian people. The season it represents is summer. The element is wind. Next we have black sand. The people it represents are African. The season it represents is fall. And the element is earth. And last we have white. The people are white. The season is winter, and the element is water. Now, when I had all of this stuff inside me and I didn't know how to process it, somebody came to me. I was in so much pain. They had given my father shock treatments when I was very small, and I had a resentment with the world, and I didn't know what to do. And then one day, somebody came and told me that these drugs would make me feel better, and it was a lie. I reached a point where I really didn't want to live anymore, and I asked the elders, what do I do? And they told me that first, I must develop a relationship with the Creator, that I should go into the East. This took some time. But eventually, what came forth was pure, dry, red sand. And now that I had a relationship with the Creator, I should form a healthy relationship with myself. I must get honest about the character defects that I have, the things that get in the way from me having healthy relationships with others. This too took some time, but eventually I had pure, dry, yellow sand. And now that I have a healthy relationship with the Creator and with myself, I am supposed to develop a healthy relationship with others. This means that you have to return your library books that you still have. This means that when I call somebody a name, I have to tell them I'm sorry. And sometimes I need to ask for forgiveness and also forgive other people. That is probably how my heart started to heal. And now that I have healthy relationships with others, I also have pure, dry, black sand. And finally, I was told that now that I have these things, I have the wisdom and I am to go and share it with all. And I have pure, dry, white sand. What it formed was the native medicine wheel. I finally found my medicine, and I haven't had a drink in years. So, now that I began to share this with everyone, well, the magic, there was magic. There was real magic. Magic that could take me anywhere I wanted to go. And the darkness in my life began to subside. Things started to become clear. My purpose, my life, and my eyes were clear. Thank you very much.
Sabretooth taught me a lot of life lessons, and his wisdom and generosity were on my mind quite a bit leading up to April Fool's Day that year. But I'll get to that in a later episode. But Derek's performance wasn't the only thing that happened that day, so tune in next week to find out how February 7th, 2013 made at least one of Whittier College's students infamous online.